Hello, Junior Rangers, and welcome to today's lesson on the water cycle. My name is Sarah, and I work for California State Parks here on the beautiful central coast of California in the Oceano Dunes District, and I am joining you today from our beautiful Oceano Lagoon, which is fitting because today we're going to talk about water. Now, as you probably know, water is a very important resource here on Earth and as humans. It actually makes up 2/3 of the Earth's surface, over 2/3 of the Earth's surface, and over 2/3 of our human bodies. So obviously, it's a very important resource for us. And water is what we call a finite resource, which means it is not infinite, it's actually limited. So at the end of this video, we're going to talk about what we can do as humans to help be good stewards or to live sustainably and protect this precious resource we have on Earth, which is water. And I want to get us started by asking you a few questions. I want you to think about, where does all the water on Earth come from? And you might know the answer to that. And then I want you to think about what areas on Earth collect water. And I'll give you one hint. We are standing by a lagoon, which is indeed one of those areas. I want you to answer, why do you think water is important to humans? Why do we think water is important to humans? And then if humans have been consuming water or drinking water for thousands of years, how is there still any left on Earth? So take a minute to brainstorm the answers to those questions. And if you don't know the answer to any of them, we are going to hop in to our water cycle lesson today. Now, I'm so excited to have you here because we will be doing a craft, we will be doing an activity to better learn this, we will be singing a song. So if you are ready to get started, let's learn about our beautiful water cycle. Alrighty, Junior Rangers, so without further ado, I would like to hop into our lesson that I have for you today that is going to help you with our activity and our craft that I have for you further on in the video. So as far as the water cycle goes, it's just that, it's a cycle. So I like to explain this as a circle. Think of a circle. It doesn't have a starting point and it doesn't really have an ending point. It's continuous, it's constantly happening, and that's an extremely important part of this story that I'm going to tell you today. And our story starts with collection. So where I'm standing right now, this water has been collected. It's in these areas, like maybe what we guessed earlier in the questions. Maybe some of you said rivers or ponds or streams or the ocean, which is actually close by to me as well. But here is a lagoon, a perfect example of a collection site. Now what happens is slowly the sun will start to heat up the water. And ever so slowly it does what we call evaporation. So it starts to evaporate, and that's when the liquid water is turned into a gas and rises into the sky. So think of that like you're boiling a pot of hot water and you see that steam start to form. That's evaporation. Now next is what's called condensation. So all of those water molecules floating up in the sky come together and do what we call condensing. They come together and they form clouds, which some of you, all of you hopefully, are familiar with. Clouds, right? So think of this as if you're standing on a chilly night, you're all bundled up, and you let out a deep breath and maybe you've seen a cloud before. That is my example of condensation for you. But as our clouds get heavier and heavier and heavier, what happens is called precipitation. And I'm sure all of you are familiar with this because precipitation is just a super fancy word for rain, for snow, and for hail. So after that water has accumulated up in the sky, it needs to come back down to Earth some way, and that's going to be through precipitation. And so it precipitates down back into those collection sites that we talked about. Now what's important to know is that obviously all water does not fall perfectly into the collection sites. Some of it will fall onto the ground, a lot of it will, and will soak through the ground, which we call groundwater. So that's another way that water is absorbed or collected. And then also there's something that happens called transpiration. And this is going back to our evaporation step. But transpiration, the easiest way I like to describe it is plants sweating. So if you've ever, maybe done a workout and you're really sweaty, it's plants kind of doing the same thing. It's releasing water from their leaves that then goes up into the atmosphere. So this is a cycle. This is a cycle, and it all happens continuously, and that is the story of our water cycle. All right, so now that we've learned a little bit about our water cycle, I'm excited to share an activity with you that explains what I just talked about in a way that hopefully is very easy to understand at home. So let's get started with my activity. The activity we're going to do today is fairly simple. All you will need is a plastic bag, some water, and an option for some food coloring and some Sharpies to decorate your bag. What you're going to do is fill your plastic bag about a quarter of the way full, with the option to add some blue food coloring as your lake. This is going to be our lake, and what you'll want to do is seal it very tightly and then hang it in somewhere that's really, really, really sunny. Now, after not very long, you're going to see the processes that we talked about today start to happen. So condensation forms, as you can see in my picture here, as some clouds inside the bag, and even some precipitation after not very long in the sun at all. So hopefully this activity you're able to do at home will teach you a little bit more about our water cycle, and you can see it happen before your very own eyes. Alrighty, Junior Rangers, without further ado, I would like to share something special with you. This is a short and silly story about a water droplet named Wanda. If you have a moment, go ahead and check this out because I think this story does a pretty good job of explaining our water cycle in maybe a bit of a different way than we've learned today. So please enjoy. This is the story of Water Wanda, a story about our Earth's water cycle. On Earth, there are more drops of water than you can count, but that does not mean there is an unlimited amount. You see, water is very important. It is the most abundant substance on Earth. Our bodies need it. It makes up both you and me. But Wanda, where does all the water come from and where does it all go? Well, water actually moves in a cycle. It goes to and fro. The story begins with a body of water, like a pond, a river, an ocean, and beyond. Liquid water evaporates right out of the ocean and lakes. Then something happens that makes the earth proud. Water vapor condenses to form clouds. And another thing that's inspiring, water from plants is constantly transpiring. Soon the clouds become heavy with rain until it precipitates, and the water cycle can continue again. That is the end of Water Wanda, a story about our Earth's water cycle. Alrighty, hopefully you all enjoyed that. Coming up next is our craft, which I'm going to explain to you in this next short video here. I encourage you to do these crafts with us and maybe even pause the video as you go. Instructions should be on the slide. Let's get started. Now our craft today, we're going to be making our own water cycle out of some paper, maybe some glue, some scissors, if you want to get fancy, even some cotton balls. And there's going to be two options today. And option number one is very simple. It's taking a paper plate, splitting it into 3 parts, reading the directions on the screen here. Feel free to pause the video, and making our water cycle with precipitation, condensation, and evaporation. Now you can decorate this however you want, and I did put some hints on this page to help you out. And our second option for you today would be to download and print this coloring sheet and color it in yourself using the link to download at the end of this video. Now here at the Oceano Dunes District, we have a song that pertains to our water cycle, and I would like you to join me in singing that so we can really get it into our memories. As silly as it might be, I really encourage you to join me because it helped me learn this super well. So I'm going to put the lyrics on the screen and you need to sing along with me. We're going to do it twice. All right, Junior Rangers, it goes like this. Water moves in a cycle, yes it does. Water moves in a cycle, yes it does. It goes up as evaporation forms clouds, as condensation falls down as precipitation. Yes, it does. So I know those words are kind of hard to say fast, but we're going to try it one more time together, and it goes like this. Ready? Go. Water moves in a cycle. Yes, it does. Water moves in a cycle. Yes, it does. It goes up as evaporation forms clouds, as condensation falls down as precipitation. Yes, it does. Awesome. Thank you for joining me, Junior Rangers, on our song. I hope you are ready for what is next. Alrighty, Junior Rangers. Whew. I think it's safe to say that we've had ourselves quite a water cycle lesson. Maybe you listened to our lesson here, did the activity, sang our song, heard about Water Wanda. But now I want to encourage you to take this next portion seriously, because this is my Junior Ranger call to action. As I was explaining to you, water is what we call a finite resource. It's not infinite, it's not unlimited. Although this water cycle is constantly occurring, it's important that us humans do our job to protect this precious resource. So I have a few ideas for you, and I want you to go ahead and take these on as your own if you feel like that's something you might want to do to protect our water and how much we use. So I had a couple ideas for us that are listed on this screen here. One would be using the water that you wash your veggies with, maybe collecting that and watering plants with it. That would be okay. Maybe turning off your faucet as you brush your teeth instead of letting all that water run. And then my third one would be taking shorter showers. So this is all going to be up to you, and these are just examples of things that you can do to protect these resources, but you have to take it on as your own Junior Ranger and your own individual. So I just want to say thank you so very much for joining us here at the Oceano Dunes State Vehicular Recreation Area. I'm here at the lagoon, and you all have done such an incredible job. Congratulations, Junior Rangers. You have completed the Junior Ranger water cycle lesson here at the Oceano Dunes District. Again, I am Sarah, and it was great hanging out with you today. Hopefully you'll join us again soon.
Hi, it's Interpreter Michelle here at Oceano Dunes District. If you're watching this, it means you've completed a virtual Junior Ranger program, and it's time for the next step, saying the Junior Ranger Pledge and being sworn in as an official Junior Ranger. So, if you're ready, stand up, raise your right hand, and repeat this pledge after me. As a Junior Ranger, I promise to explore our parks and pick up litter, to protect every plant and every critter, to learn important stories of our past so that these treasured places last. I will keep our parks out of danger because I am a Junior Ranger. Wow, congratulations. Welcome to the team, Junior Rangers. We're glad to have you.
To download coloring sheets and activities, please visit the link in the center of the screen, and of course, to watch more Junior Ranger videos, visit the URL below. Thank you, and see you next time.